His capacity for violence, his ambition, and his smarts singled him out. That is how Pablo Escobar was described in a Discovery Channel documentary called Pablo Escobar Goes to War, The Narco Wars. While singled out as an adult, Pablo Escobar had a typical childhood in Colombia before becoming the #1 distributor of cocaine in the world. We will be taking a deep dive into Pablo's childhood, escalation of his crimes, lavish living, and successes, which ultimately led to his death. Pablo was born on December 1st, 1949, to a typical family. His father was a farmer, his mother was a school teacher. He had 6 siblings and was a middle child. As a toddler, his family moved to Avendego, a suburb on the outskirts of Medellin, Colombia. This was a time of duress in Colombia. They were in the middle of a civil war. Violence was rampant, and reportedly around 180,000 were killed in the 1940s and 50s. This time in Colombia's history was called La Violencia, which translates to the violence. Crime and violence were commonplace during this time. As a teenager, Pablo started committing crimes like selling fake lottery tickets and petty thefts. As a young adult, his crimes escalated to stealing cars, selling marijuana, and kidnapping. In 1974, he was arrested and did some jail time for stealing cars. After his release, his brother Roberto opened a bicycle shop as a front for smuggling tobacco, alcohol, and small appliances across the border. Pablo's philosophy, plata o plomo, was born, which translates to silver or lead, meaning either you were bribed or you were killed. This was very effective, and Pablo was able to get many police and custom officers to help facilitate his smuggling activities. In 1975, during a drug deal gone bad, Escobar killed the head of the Medellin cartel and announced his leadership. His capacity for violence was well known, and he was not challenged and began running the cartel. In 1976, Pablo met Griselda Blanco, the cocaine queen. With this new connection, he continued to grow the Medellin cartel. During this time, cocaine was booming in the U.S., and Escobar was making regular flights carrying tons of cocaine into the Miami area. By age 28, he was a multimillionaire. With his riches, he bought a 7,000-acre ranch with many extravagancies. He had a zoo with exotic animals, a soccer field, an airstrip, and a bullfighting arena. He also spent millions of dollars building schools, churches, and literally gave out millions of dollars in cash to the poor in these communities. It was these acts of humanitarianism that coined him the Robin Hood of Colombia in low-income and impoverished areas. This was a huge contrast of how the U.S. government and the Colombian middle to lower-class population viewed Escobar. He used this to his advantage. The U.S. government wanted to extradite Escobar to the U.S. to stand trial for his crimes. To get around his extradition, he ran for political office, winning the alternative chair in Colombian Congress. Escobar used these political alliances to get votes against extraditions of criminals to the U.S. and succeeded. However, later down the road, he did burn bridges in the political arena by ordering hits on government officials, police, and civilians. This led to legal negotiations, and Pablo surrendered to the Colombian government in 1991. You may think justice is finally served, but no. Part of Escobar's negotiations was that he would build the prison in which he would be held. This prison included amenities such as a nightclub, spa, football field, tennis court, and full office, where he continued to run the cartel. After Escobar tortured and killed 2 cartel members within the prison, the Colombian government decided he would be transferred to a different facility. This is when Pablo made his escape. He went on the run. He had made many enemies during the reign, and a very unusual collaboration was made between the U.S. government, the Colombian government, and rival drug cartels to find him. Pablo was able to stay in hiding for nearly 16 months. When the police and U.S. forces descended on his hideout, Escobar and several associates hit the rooftops. They got into a shootout where Pablo was fatally wounded. While many saw this as a victory, nearly 25,000 mourners came to his funeral to praise him and pay their final respects. Pablo's reign ended as abruptly as it began. Pablo Escobar's ambitions and smarts were not enough. Ambition is a fickle mistress and can get in the way of reason. His life, ambition, and revolutionary ways of distributing cocaine have made him the subject of many books, movies, and documentaries. Being at the top of the drug trade came to a crashing halt when Pablo died. After his death on December 2nd, 1993, the Medellin cartel dissolved. While Escobar continues to be one of the youngest drug lords in the world to date, he died in a blaze of glory, so to speak. I guess sometimes glory is still losing.
Yay!